What's up, everybody? How are you? This is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Pastor Kevin Graves. He won't be with us tonight. And of course, you see my lovely wife in the background. Today's a very sad day from the Real Talk Chronicles family. First and foremost, uh, happy to be here. Happy Monday. But, this show is dedicated to all those law enforcement officers out there that's trying to do their thing, and also the civilians too that are trying to stay safe in this world that we live in. Everything right now is just so topsy-turvy. I don't know what to tell you, and I want to express myself tonight. I really do. Hopefully people will join in. Anybody, if you want to join and be a part of the day, is if they show up, then you're more than welcome. If not, I get it. What's up, D? How are you? Of course, I've tagged all the elected officials that I know, the borough president. Hey, Stefania. I've also tagged the borough president, first step, and anybody else, lieutenant governor. And then they're always welcome to come and be on the show. Some have been on the show before, some have not. So let's run down some of the stats. There's been 15 law enforcement officers shot across the country in 2022. 15. Last year there was 485 homicides in New York City. This year, I think out of Philadelphia, there's 35 homicides already.
I have the total.
All right, Malika will give me the exact numbers on certain things. I'm trying to find out. I'm about to get the exact numbers on murders and homicides in New York City alone. It has to stop, people. Hey Vera, how are you? With a great last name. Tonight it's all about how can we bring law enforcement back to the position where they're respected. In times past, what's up, Lou? In the past, I have no problem speaking out about what unjust justices have been done to people of color. That's who I am, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to always do that. But please don't ever think I wish bad on any law enforcement officer that goes out here and wants to protect and serve. Don't ever misconstrue what I do. That's not who I am, and that's not what I do, right? I bring light to situations to make the relationships better. What's up, Kevin? How are you? I got you, brother. I see you. Hey, Liz. Hey, Todd. Hello, everybody that's chiming in. Anybody that's more than welcome to be a part of this conversation tonight, you're more than welcome, because I would like to get your take on what you think needs to be done to get back to some kind of peace. Hey, Christy, how are you? So let's deal with these stats. There was once upon a time when we've all watched movies and things of that magnitude that it was kind of so taboo to shoot law enforcement officers. I don't care what has happened in the past. And there are some people out here that's going to just hate law enforcement officers just because. There are people out here that's going to hate the people of color just because. There's people out here that's going to hate white people just because. Some people can't get past just because. Listen, I don't ever want to be judged by my skin tone. I'm sure nobody wants to be judged by their skin tone. And There's no officer that wants to just be judged by the blue that he wears, but we all are sometimes. With that being said, we have to find a way to get back. The mayor of New York City just came out and spoke today about what he feels his course of action is going to be going forward. I listened to it. I thought it was excellent. The mayor is tagged in this podcast right now. Like I said, along with the other elected officials that are tagged in this, the mayor has been on the show when he was running for office. He knows he is always welcome back. Of course, along with Alvin Bragg, he's also welcome back. Assemblyman Al Taylor would be with us tonight. He might pop in. There are a few people that might pop in and just give their thoughts. But any of you all who want to pop in, I'll send you the link. Text me, inbox me, and I'll send you the link if you want to just express yourselves in regards to what's happening in our world. Listen, all over the world, crime is out of control. In Texas, no, in Florida, I think somebody just shot up a school. I think a white kid, white child. So this is not about color. Don't get into that blue and red state BS, please. Right now, I saw a post, somebody was like, oh, this is Biden's fault, what happened to the police officer. The president didn't put that gun in that man's hand. If we're going to call him a man, we're going to be fair and call him a man. He ain't put that gun in that man's hand. He ambushed those police officers knowingly and willingly because that's what he wanted to do. What I think makes this so sad is because any officer out there can see themselves, especially an officer of color. This officer was me in the 90s. Same feeling, wanted to come and serve your community, bridge the gap. I joined because I didn't like the way police officer treated me one time, and I was working for the city. But I was like, how can I come and be a better part of the situation? 22 years old, a baby. What do we do about that? A baby, everybody. So that's why this just resonates across the world. A baby got killed. And another baby got killed. He was 27 too, but you're in your 20s. Come on. You're still playing video games. Real talk. There's certain things you don't even know if you can grow facial hair in certain spots of your body or facial hair, period. So anybody that feels like that was justified, F you. I mean, that's real talk. That's how I feel, because the bottom line is there's a point of no return, and killing police is a point of no return. Don't get me wrong. We understand what police have done in the past. This is not the show for that tonight. This is not the show tonight. This tonight is in memory of that officer and praying for that other officer. There's conversation out there that the other officer has transitioned. I personally have not got any intel on that, so I'm still praying for his recovery. Today, I spoke to the father of the young baby, 1-year-old baby that got shot in the crossfire in the Bronx. I spoke to the father. Send prayers out to that family. So we having senseless shootings. How do we change this? How do we make this right? I'm going to try to get back and read some of the comments and stuff. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. And, tonight, this is your show. I'm coming at you 1 hour strong. Anybody that you have something to say, we can comment, we can talk about it. But right now, we have to find a way to get back to a city a world that is protected. It just seems like we're purging our own selves. People are just killing and shooting just because they can. Some people want to blame it on blue, red, whatever. Legislation has to come back and change some of these laws. Give the judges back their power. We have to do that. Let me just read some of the comments that are coming in. I appreciate you all. This is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, Pastor, and with my co-host, Pastor Kevin Graves, but he's not with us tonight because he's a clergy for the police department. You understand that he is probably busy doing what he has to do. So let me just go back and say hi to everybody. Deb, Manhattan North Strong. Stefania says, hey, Malika and Bill. She says, I just had to darken at Stormy's so I may fall asleep. Too dark and Stormy's. I saw in Houston a corporal officer was shot and killed while doing a traffic stop. This is a nightmare. Yes, he was. Kevin Hunter, my childhood brother. What's going on? Hey, Christy Quinn. Stefania said, now to further compound the situation, Biden is looking into spending 8,000 military people to Ukraine. It feels like I'm living in a movie. Liz Ba said, hey, Malika and Bill. Colin said, what's going on? Racism is the problem. The respect is broken. You're right, Lou. It is gone. I think right now people have fought so hard to get rid of the bad policing that they've lost sight of just the good police officers. And I'll say this, I've worked with some wonderful white police officers that I will go through the door with at any given moment, right? There's some white officers I won't go through the door with. There's some Spanish officers, Latin officers I won't go through the door with. There's some Black officers I know I won't go through the door with, right? It's a different game when you out there and the shit hits the fan. That ambush that just happened, what was that, Friday night? Friday night, I think. Yeah, Friday night. Even a seasoned officer like myself could have got ambushed with that one. To our knowledge, the call came in domestic. No weapons involved. Closed door. I'm not Monday morning quarterbacking this. I'm assuming the officer proceeded with caution. Perp, listening to the door, hears him walking to the door, he opens up and he just starts shooting. Listen. The reaction time, there is none. Seconds. Like I said, that's probably one I probably would have got killed or shot at. So I can relate to it, even seasoned. Because if I still would have been on the job now, I would have been in like my 27th or 8th year, whatever. That could have happened to me. So please, let's not say what is and what's not, and this and that, and tactically. Now tonight we will talk tactics, because I hear from the street that a lot of new officers are not trained the way I was trained, and other officers out here that are listening in tonight. Mayor, commissioners, bring somebody like myself or any white, Black, I don't care. Bring somebody seasoned back. Bring somebody that can teach these guys how to get down, because it's a whole different game out here right now. The streets are filled with lawlessness. People are purging. That's what this is. Colin, hey Colin, Lou said racism is a problem. Respect is broken. You're totally right. Stefani says his plan sounds good, but I do think that we need to add more to it. We need NYPD to come down hard. Playtime is over. See, I agree with you, but see what happens is some people will still say, like I heard Jamani Williams say, we need to look into stuff. Listen, dog. Excuse me for calling him. I went there a little bit. Listen, Jamani. I don't know how you're moving in these streets, and I don't know if you have security or not, but a lot of other people out here don't. And certain laws right now are not working. They are not working. I'm telling you, from another African American to another African American, they are not working. So please stop with we need to look how this is. I'm going to say this. Stop, question, and frisk needs to come back in some kind of form. When I was working, it was a quota situation. Take the quota away, let cops do what they have to do. But we have to bring some seasoned cops back in there to train these young officers how to uh, view what a person carrying a firearm may be. Tactics, street knowledge, street instincts. You can't get that in the academy. Some people from the hood becoming law enforcement officers. This Officer Rivera, he may have had it, but still, an ambush is an ambush. Like I said, anybody could have got it. Stefani said guns are too easy to get, Bill Forster. That's the root of the problem. Absolutely. Yeah, but you still got to. Right now, the mayor said 395 guns or something like that. Guns have been taken off the city streets in 2022. 300, right? You do the math, everybody out there, and break down what's that from a day. What are we? We're on day 23, right? 20, day 24. 24 days, over 300 guns have been taken down. Guns are coming in here some way, somehow. Guns have always been coming into New York or any states, any cities. But the bottom line is people have fear of carrying them. The fear right now is nobody has fear of carrying guns anymore. That has to be back instilled into the communities of violence. I'm not going to say color, I'm going to say violence. Please understand how I'm going to articulate that. Hey, Lorraine Kitchen, prayers lifted. Absolutely. Stefani said, Malika, I'm going to make you a drink. Hello, I can't be the only one, loopy one. Hey, Michelle, what's going on, Jones? She said hello to me. Nathan Ingram. Nathan Ingram will be on the show. I usually advertise Nathan's thing. He's a sponsor of this show, the Daily Arts Magazine. I just want to do a brief picture of this. He's one of my sponsors on this show. I'm in this magazine. We will have him on the show probably for Black History Month, but I just want to stay on this topic. Hey, Gina, they were definitely ambushed. Absolutely. Lou said, agreed, killing police is never right. Absolutely. You see it in any movie, from Humphrey Bogart back in the days to anything, Takers, any movie. You didn't want to kill police officers because that was like a life sentence or the death penalty. Right now, people don't care. You're killing police officers. That's unheard of. It hits home. Black as I am, I wore blue. Let's not get this shit twisted, everybody. I wore blue. I understand blue's feelings on things. This is not, like I said, if you want to sit here and say this is blue, black, or blue or red state kind of situation, get out of here with that. Crime is happening in Florida. I get calls from other cities, states. Everybody out here is watching from all different cities and states, from YouTube to Facebook Live. You're watching from different cities and states. I'm from New York, but trust me, my fan base and my viewer watching this from all over. White kids are shooting up schools in Florida just recently. I think it was today. Michelle said, what about the one that shot the suspect and he is traumatized? Yeah, I mean, listen, everybody. The video games and what you see on TV, it's a whole different set. Really pop that gun, and people are really thinking shooting is a joke. It's not a joke anymore. Gina says hello. Hey, Cheryl White. They were all babies under 30. Absolutely. Thank you, Chrissy. True. Stefani said, I agree. Something's got to change. AJ Miller, off topic. I love the picture behind you. That's a Malika Forster special. Definitely. She put it in. Nathan, thank you for the special night to recognize the officers say passing. Absolutely, Nathan. We have to show that your nephew, my dude, we were law enforcement officers. You know what I'm saying? People got to understand this, man. Lorraine Kitchen said Giuliani cleaned the city up. I had a conversation with somebody earlier and they mentioned Giuliani. I mean, she's in the podcast tonight. Giuliani was rough. What he did, he took Dinkins' safe streets and kept it and ran with it. Can we give him the props? Okay. If you want to, Giuliani was tough on a quality of life. So you didn't have to squeegee the homeless people. He told police officers to arrest them. So, yeah. Can these individuals be some people that will commit crimes? Absolutely. He gave officers the power to arrest them. Officers made a lot of overtime off homeless people, derelicts, panhandles, and stuff like that. If you feel that's what he did and you feel that was part of the crime, now don't get me wrong. I don't want to see the squeegee man, and I don't want to see the person holding the door under De Blasio. Do I feel that he really softened the city? Absolutely. I'll say it to his face. I'll say it to your face. I'll say it to everybody's face. I definitely feel that way. This is real talk, everybody. If you can't be real, then why even listen to me or me be the host say that I can't say what I want to say? But we all understand under Republicans, a lot of times their conservative views, law and order, right? Democrats have tried to make righteous ways for people of color. And I'm not saying all Republicans haven't, but we understand that they definitely live in a law and order mentality. Paula said, I keep freezing up. Okay, well, Jose Cabrera, thank you, Billy, supporting the Dominican community. Absolutely, Jose. Jose has worked with me. He knows we all together, man. This is, this young officer whose wake is Thursday and his funeral is Friday at 9 a.m. at St. Patrick's Cathedral. So if you're on Fifth Avenue and you work near Fifth Avenue, please try to get to work early. If you go in, if you're not working remote, maybe remote would be the best way if you're not trying to go pay your respects. Because I'm sure if you've never been to a police funeral, which is so heartbreaking, probably from 56th Street all the way down to probably 46th Street, or maybe even long or further, it's going to be blocked off. You will see a sea of blue from all over the world that will come out and pay their respects. Jamel Jones, keep speaking the truth. Thank you, my brother. Thank you, Jose. One of your greatest goals. Absolutely. Jose knows when we was out there in the street, we did what we had to do. It's a different time, man. We would lose our jobs now. So finally said, De Blasio is a joke. We're starting from scratch all over again. Sorry, absolutely. Jay Burnett, law and order, yeah, yes, but there must be equality on how this is practiced. Well, I get it. But how is it practiced now? Because we've changed, legislation has changed all the laws. And look what we got now. We got larceny all over the place. So it's obviously there has to be some checks and balances. There needs to be some checks and balances, basically. Stop the question first needs to come by. I've heard street people tell me the streets are crazy. When do you hear a street person tell you that? And I get it from all the street people, from the official OGs to the little young heads out here right now in the day. My ear's still to the street. Who wants to walk the street? Anybody can be shot. You can walk by any person, right? People are getting pushed on trains like chewing bubble gum. I got videos. I get footage all the time. Please, I do my homework with this. This person that's a journalist now, I do my homework on this. I get footage of people masturbating on a train, fighting themselves and all kind of stuff, bothering people. A person just got pushed on, a 61-year-old man got just pushed on a train. Come on. Are you really feeling comfortable about your mother or your brothers or your sisters walking the streets? Malika's not walking the streets of New York without me. And the bottom line is I can be touched. Right? Think about that. I can even be touched. I'm not invincible. I'm just a man. Nobody knows if I have a firearm. They don't care about a martial artist. So if they don't care about that aspect of me, where I'm on some real all over the place, Jason Bourne in this shit real hard. What about the average person that doesn't have any kind of skill set or can't carry a firearm? How are they walking these streets? Let's keep that in mind. Lorraine said it would be nice to have a sit down with old timers, retirees to hear us. We can bring a lot to the table. Absolutely, I totally agree with that, and that's what I'm really striving for. Any old timer, like I said, not just me. I'm not lobbying for a job. The bottom line is, but I feel that there's some old timers that can come back, white, black, Spanish, African American, me. I don't care. Bring anybody back. Bring somebody back. Teach these rookies to still. Now, do I know law enforcement took a step back because they didn't like the administrations that were in power and they felt like their policing skills were taken away from them, their knowledge. Stefani said, the masturbation video was just something disgusting. It definitely was. Christy said, I used to love going to the city at Christmas and in the summer, but not now. I'm too scared. I don't blame you, Chrissy. You know, like I said, I don't even want to go to the city, and I live in the city. I'm from the city, right? When I'm in the city, I may live across the five. I may live on the turnpike, but I'm still in the city. I don't even want to go out. So true. Sean Jones, what's up, brother? We have tons of schools that close every day after 5 p.m. Why aren't they used for youth training programs, etc.? This is what the legislators need to ensure occurs to stir the next generation of youth in the right direction. Sean, you're totally right. Um, what happened to PAL? The things that you and I were brought up on. I mean, like I said, bring the people back that want to come back and help the communities. I'm part of the Blue Now. I've spoken, to other. I've been in part of other legislations or other organizations. People know I've been doing this. I've pulled people in to speak with me. Bring the people that want to speak and give back to the communities. Talk to the youth. Give them something to do. After school programs. Shoot, give people jobs. You want jobs? Give people jobs. Drive these kids after school programs. Have a little bus company. Drive them home. Let that person get some overtime or have his own job. He worked from 5 to 8, a little part-time job, and drive these kids home every day, each one home. Boom, and let them get off. To get them home safe. Now that we don't have to worry about the kids walking the streets, we're driving them home. Stefania said, every day all I see are young and old black people being killed on the news from New York City to Chicago. It's terribly horrible. Absolutely, yeah, we see that all the time, but we don't see about the white kids too. So, they're gonna the news only is gonna show people of color. Like I said, just in Florida, I got the text this morning. Young white kid shoots up a school. You don't hear about that. Why is that? That's a red state. Guns, they anybody can get a gun there. Lisa Clark said, this is really choppy. It's kind of hard to follow the conversation. I don't know why.
Tell her I'm going to put the YouTube link in there.
She said Malika said she's going to put it on YouTube.
Put the YouTube link in
She's going to put the YouTube link in here. And if you want to follow on YouTube, sorry, everybody. I don't know why it's coming in choppy. What's up, Mark? How are you? Hey, Helen. Hey, Tammy. What's up, Khalif? Were they wearing their vest? Yeah, they were wearing their vest. But if somebody just starts shooting, and this dude was really having. What's up, John? He was having his thing. Elizabeth, Ron Kingston, my brother, Nimi. Shout out to my PD family in there. Lisa Clark said, this is going to be popular, but 3 words, stop and frisk with something restructuring. What's up, Vern? Jamal, everybody's watching. Appreciate you all watching in. Let me see, Cheryl. I feel horrible about Cheryl White said, I feel horrible about what's happening to the young officer, and I also feel horrible for the mother of the gunman. Just sad all around. Uh, yeah, I guess as a mother, you can have some sympathy. I don't, I don't want to speak out of turn because I think emotionally, I saw me. I think that's what I said in lies the problem with everything that's happening. I saw me. 22 guys trying to handle the job. Listen, this is a young Latin brother from the hood. Let's not get this shit twisted. From the hood. People always say they want officers from their communities. You got it. He's from Washington Heights. He's working in Harlem. 10 blocks to the left, 5 to the right. He's in another precinct. And then maybe another 20 blocks, he's in his precinct of a residency. Did you see the letter that he wrote that he was trying to make this bridge the gap between this community and people of color? And to be taken 22 years old. There are people that's not graduating from college. And this man's out here trying to protect and serve him and his partner. Thank God that other officer was there. Let's keep it real, everybody. Let's keep it really 100 with this. This is real talk. We're gonna have real talk. Uh, like you said, Sean, the reform needs to be reformed. Absolutely. Gina said it's going to be a blue summer. Police will be on high alert. You're right. Now think about this. We've talked about how police have acted in the past. Right now, we got police on their heels where they're not even doing their job. So they're coming in passively. Not to say they're supposed to come into somebody's house with their guns drawn, but police officers, and I'm telling you facts, real talk, police officers right now are so afraid to do their job. They're passive. They're not assertive, or they're trying to come in appeasing the masses instead of coming in and being a police officer. When you go, no other job where you go to DMV, you go to any place else, you go to any city agency or any agency store, they tell us how to move, right? Everybody, I have Assemblyman Al Taylor joining us tonight. What's up, brother Al? How are you, man?
Hey,
I know
we
you're
just
working hard.
finished conference. Man,
How's that going?
it's a pleasure to work. How are you, my brother?
I'm good, man. Right now, we were just talking about the young officers. I just threw down some statistics. Uh, 15 officers in the United States have gotten shot this year. Uh, 5 in New York. 2 have been killed in New York. Uh, DC just had some officers shot. Uh, Texas officers was killed. We were just talking about what we have to do to get back to police officers being respected in in
Mm,
in this world today. We've lost a lot of that respect. I know things have been changed. A lot of people wanted to change laws and legislations. I get that. That's not what this is about. We have to get back to being respected. People are not respecting their parents anymore. So we
there
got to
you
get
go.
back to that. And I just want, as I read I
Mm.
look over some of the comments. Give us your take and what you think needs to be done.
Man, humanity is twisted right now.
Right.
Everybody has a beef with everybody. Um, I mean, my heart was ripped. I think we communicated Friday evening during text. It's just like I was hurt. I was angry. I had so many mixed emotions. Almost in tears. I'm like, man, it's just a fallen humanity. And I thought some things to do that I wouldn't repeat outside of my head in terms of how to resolve this. But I think you just pointed it. You hit it on the head. Parents are having an issue with their children. And I'm not saying parents didn't have an issue with children. There's always been a way person in the family somewhere, Uncle Willie, somebody, but it's become the norm.
Right, right.
And part of what annoys me is that we play the blame game to whomever. Well, why wasn't that person there? We can do the what ifs and what ifs and what ifs, and we're still gonna have the same problem unless we step into it and say, well, what can I do on my block? Let's speak about what we know, and not only speak about it, but do something to transform it. Here is a mother, and for whatever reasons, she had a son loaded with firepower in the house, you know, and that was something that I don't know, and again, right now I'm playing, what I woulda, coulda, shoulda been if I had known. Domestic violence, a domestic situation is the worst place for an officer to go. The worst place. I don't care how trained you are, it's the worst. It's more deadly than going into a bank with hostages and people throwing lead, because there's a false sense of security. You don't know where it's coming from, and you just never know. You can pull a victim out of a situation that they're getting pummeled, and they'll turn around and jump on you when you try to put cuffs on the other person.
Absolutely. I've been in that situation, so I know
You
exactly
know,
what you're talking about.
and I'm speaking right now as a former military police officer. So I would put on a badge, lock and load, get in a patrol car, spend 8 hours. Back then, you look like a sellout and all of those other things. And,
Right, right.
it is what it is. And I would tell people, listen, I don't come into your mess hall, which is the cafeteria, and tell you how to do eggs or disrespect you in that situation. You're doing your job. Now, if you show up on my beat and you're being disrespectful and you're doing some stuff, then I gotta deal with you. Say put hands on them, I gotta take care of you. But you invited me to your party. Other than that, I'm just, hey, how you doing? How you doing? And there is a lack of respect across the board. Red, black, brown, whatever. That was not anything but hatred. Um, I'm just like, I'm trying not to let everything out of my head on this space right here, because some things you can't walk back. But at the end of the day, I don't want. There was a baby in the Bronx, 11-month-old, shot in the face.
I spoke to the father today, Al. Sending prayers out there. That individual still has not been caught, and I had the privilege to speak to the father a couple of times on the phone, and it is so sad. And all I could do is tell him, I'm praying for your daughter,
Hmm.
and it's just, I just thought about that. If I mentioned that, please, somebody, people, you got to do something. But go ahead, Al. I didn't mean to interrupt,
Yeah,
but
and I'm sorry. I'm going into a building, so I got to put this on again.
right.
The times in which we live in. Can you imagine or ever believe that you could put on a mask and walk into a bank and be a black man? Whoa,
Wow,
check that out.
wow.
um, so a lot has to happen, where people give a damn more frequently. You know, um, if you don't want to have if you don't want to have safety in your neighborhood, if you don't want, I'm on the phone. So if you don't want to be accountable and you don't want to do the job, then someone has to do the job. I'm not saying make us a police state. That's not what I'm saying at all. But let's go back to community policing in the sense that we're doing things in our neighborhood to watch out for those that are less fortunate, those that need help. And if you know something, you got to say something. We're the cats in the neighborhood that they hard body. You know, um, and all of these foolish things are happening on our blocks, but they're the first one to say, man, we don't want no cops. Well, handle the business that needs to be handled in the neighborhood, and you shut that down like little Bubba ain't running around busting off shots. I mean, let's talk
Absolutely.
real,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because when they show up, you know what type of party it is, right? Oh, that's just Willie. No, Willie was out of pocket. You wouldn't check him. Now, this is what we got to do.
Absolutely.
Where you can do that, it needs to happen. I know I'm not telling people to get out there and get in harm's way, but don't fake jacks. Don't say what we need, and when it go down, you be like, yo, you know what's about to happen. Come on.
Listen, and that's the one thing. Each community, no matter what ethnicity, policed itself. You couldn't come on 141st and do anything that wasn't a stranger couldn't walk down that block and break in a car. You got
Yeah.
handled with. Cats was making money, they didn't want police presence on their block, so they policed themselves.
Yeah, the number runners, yo, dude, that ain't happening here, young blood. Now, I don't know if people are afraid. They don't want to talk to them. They look the other way. And when I start talking to people, I'm coming at them with love. They look like, yeah, I know they're trying to play me like a herd, but I'm like, yo, that's not a long game. What's going to happen at the end? you know so I just say that if anything, and I don't want to sound like I'm rambling, but if anything that we can do, I think we need to take stock of who we are, take stock and be proud of our community, be proud of who we are. We are a proud race, and there are a lot of our young brothers and sisters that are going to college. They're holding down great jobs. They're young um, family starters, and there's a few knuckleheads, and we need to call it what it is and see how we can help them if they don't want to be helped. Yo, my man, y'all got to go with that. And when they roll up, why we want to get out there now saying, man, you know, they didn't do that right. Please, no one listen to this, get it wrong. We got some cops that need to correct themselves, but we got some folks that need to correct themselves as well. And as soon as you see a blue uniform, you immediately want to say what they've done wrong and don't have the full story. Well, yo, why did they pull up? You don't know why I pulled up on that situation. And if I'm respectful, my man, sir, um, license, identification, whatever. I mean, I had it to a science. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. I observed your car doing so and so. That's why I stopped you. May I see your license, registration, and insurance? That was my niche. But officers don't do that. You have to ask them why you got stopped. Some of them. And well, because come on, let's be real. Let's be respectful across the board. The same thing I get in Sutton Place, I want the same thing up in Harlem in the Heights. And I think we can get there. But that same level of commitment has to happen on the other side, where we're providing community safety to whatever degree that we can. Is it a call? Is it a building patrol watch, sitting at the front door? I remember you couldn't come in certain public housing complex because some little old ladies, the seniors on deck, they be like, yo, what I say? And then somebody would say, you heard what Miss Jones said. Do this or bounce, young fella. And those are the things that are missing. We are not community like we used to be. And it's everywhere. We've lost a whole lot. I just grabbed a spot. My apologies. I'm not in your way, am I? All right, thanks.
You gotta get off. I know you're moving. Yeah, I appreciate you jumping in for a second. Are you good?
I know. I'm just trying to finish a call without going. Yeah. You ain't see me. Yeah. I'm in a I'm in a hotel, one of these banquet rooms, and they're putting in work, and I just needed a place where I can hear and talk and not
Okay.
lose you on the elevator. So,
I know you make the moves, so I appreciate you. You can stay as long as you can, of
man,
course.
bless you.
And I
Thank
mean,
you.
this is, of course, this is not your night, but like I said, I was just trying to galvanize a little panel, which it seemed like a lot of people got busy, and I understand that some people nights are totally different. And
Yeah, absolutely,
but the
absolutely.
thing is, we had to address this. Like this show was definitely in honor of these two officers and officers around the world that are getting as I say, getting pushed back on their heels because they're afraid to do their job. Now, this was an ambush. I have some questions in here. Somebody asked me. Um, uh, Christina said. Chrissy said. She says, "I feel the cops aren't allowed to do their jobs." You're right. Good evening, Veronica. What's up, everybody? So we have tons of. I read what Sean said. I want to read some other comments. I said, "Norm, what's up, Norm? I see you in the building." Stefani said, "Is it true that let's say a person is arrested to armed robbery that they're released the same day?" Yeah.
No, that
Okay. Go
that
ahead.
that the legislation that we inked does not allow you to get no bail and walk out for such a crime as that. It doesn't. It doesn't. In fact, for the people that think that we've screwed it up, you can argue that till the cows come home. But it was not to allow people that were assaulting with a weapon or a violent act to be able to walk out. That's the truth. No armed robberies, none of that assault. Those folks don't walk out unless a judge decided to do that and get no bail. That's not what the legislators put in place. And in fact, the previous commissioner, police commissioner, when he was talked being he appeared on one of these places with some of the other legislators, and when asked that question, what and can you give us one instance where what we did with bail reform that's resulted in what we've done here in New York City? And if you look across the nation, this uptick in gun violence, this uptick in police assaults did not originate because of legislation we did. It is a people movement that's sick and we need to do something about it. But make no mistake about it, it's not because we legislated and we letting everybody out the door. That's the narrative they want people to buy. But if you really want to sell something, then why don't we go allow voting rights to happen and stop shutting them down in different states, and why they're so busy about that, and why the NRA will not work with us to get guns off the street. If you're legit and you're supposed to have it, that's good. But they give us so much pushback and we're spinning a narrative that's not really true.
You know, I'm glad you said that, and because to a lot of people, all you hear is the legislators changed the laws, and now this is what's happened. And you, like you said, you just came and you just gave some kind of facts on the point of what has changed and what is happening due to legislation. You said something, and you can repeat it for all of us.
Yes.
The facts that whatever you change in reform, when a person goes to jail and committing a violent crime, you said a judge has that permission, because a lot of people are under the impression that the law was changed where the judge is like his hands were tied, where a person comes in, he commits a crime, a violent crime, and you still got to let him go on bail. Is that true?
No. So we're clear. And I don't have all the documents in front of me, Brother Bill, but one of the things is this: if that person has committed a violent act, they automatically have to post a bail. They don't get a one. You know what I'm saying? So now, if you stole a cookie, you didn't pull a gun and say, "Give me your cookies." If you didn't put a knife to someone's throat and say, "Give me your cookies," and this is your first, the concept is you walk. But if you're the person that's committed a violent act, you don't get to walk without a bail. So if it's a domestic violence and you've done certain things, now it depends on where at in there you did. You could just walk if it's an argument with you and your spouse. Okay, this is the first. Okay, you can get released if you haven't done anything violent. But if there's violent, it's a red flag. It's a red flag. But again, here's the second part of what I said. Okay, let's say New York dropped the ball and did it wrong, hypothetically. So help me understand why the upticks of shooting across America are happening in cities across this globe that had no bail reform, and they're higher than New York.
Right.
How do you answer? How do we answer that?
That is true, and that is so true. And you know what's so funny? I don't know if you heard the mayor's speech today. I co-signed it. I thought it was very well. And just to comment on what people said, Norm, I don't know if it was mental illness. Stefania, I know you said, if I'm correct, 47-year-old man staying at home, but I think he lived abroad because he had priors in other cities. So thank you, Ron. I appreciate you. What's up, Latrice? Hello, everybody. This is Real Talk. Spider, I see you, man. Tracy, Sonia, Elizabeth. I'm going to read all your comments. I'm going to get to you. I just want to have this conversation with Brother Al. Darren, Christopher, George, what's up? My old partner. We used to work in narcotics. Stephanie, Liz, she said, exactly. Thanks for clarifying, Mr. Taylor. There's a lot of propaganda spread about bail reform, which is not for violent crime. Mark said, Bill, what is the post-analysis for the officer shooting? In the military, in most cases, a panel is formed so that this doesn't ever happen again. Some years ago, a good friend of mine got killed in Jersey City by gunmen who took him and another officer out. In their case, they were outpowered by the weapons. These officers in Harlem were ambushed. There is no other point of view, in my opinion. Lastly, this may be a question for you all on Wednesday, but in your career, did you ever come across a DV that could have went south? Mark, I can tell you absolutely. I've worked with an officer. We went to a domestic violence situation. The woman called, and the man was putting hands on her. When we got there, she opened up the door, and she was hysterical, and she was crying and profusely and everything. Dude comes to the shirt. Yeah, this is back when they had with that title with the wife beaters. He came there with the wife beater on. And we like, yo, what's up? He flex on us, and next thing you know, we slamming him around the hallway. She's like, no, don't hurt him. She jump on the back. She gets slammed too. So yeah,
Hmm.
it gets different. Domestic violence situations definitely are different. People have to
Yes.
understand. First and foremost, people, men of color, don't even want to see people. Well, I don't know. Anybody wants to see an officer in your house because now it's not your house anymore. But then the
Hmm.
situation, some people call for certain reasons. Some people call for just to be scorned or whatever the situation is. But domestic violence calls are just as serious as car stops because
Yes.
you don't know what's going to happen. And trust me, you got to be on your A game. This is an ambush. Why I said this is hurting so much is because that could have been me. Seasoned tactically as I feel I'm sound at. When you tell me the man is the individual that I need to speak to is in the room and the door is closed, how do I approach that room? Do I say, "Excuse me, sir, come out, police, I'm coming to the room"? Now I let you know I'm coming. Do I walk to
Hmm.
the room and open up the door? If he's listening to the conversation, which seems like what happened, he's
Hmm.
listening to the coming down the hallway. He opens up the door and starts shooting. Did you see the
Hmm.
weaponry that he had? He had a magazine that was holding a arsenal of bullets for a Glock. So he was just spraying. Thank God that other officer was there because otherwise than that, we don't know what kind of situation this was happening. But right now, like I
Yeah.
said, we have people out here that just shooting each other for just for larceny reasons. You got gangs fighting for you know uh X pics, dick pics, and somebody slept with your girl, or the other guy punched my man in the face, and now you're just setting off a violent crime spree of payback. We see it all the
Yeah.
time. So right now we have to get back to where the officer, and this is my whole point. Officers have to get back to being in charge, where there was a level of respect, just like people respected their parents. There's some people out here that you'll hear them say, I really didn't like my parents, but they respected them, right?
Hmm.
We don't have that anymore. People are not respecting officers. You have people talking to officers all kind of way, saying whatever they want to say, and thinking it's all right. I will say this in front of everybody and whomever is listening. When I was working and the officers I worked with, you was not talking to us like that.
But
You would
brother Bill, I just got to jump in. I don't.
go
I
ahead,
don't
please.
think that you would have been one to initiate some foul mouth to whoever you were talking to. You'd walk up being the Bill I know, and
Absolutely.
unless they went out of character. But you do have a few today that are not that model. And here's the bad part. I'm sorry to cut you. You
No,
get
no,
you
no,
get
no, brother,
you
go.
get you get one crazy, and then that's the whole thing. So the other part of that is the reverse. Now you got someone out here that's blazing and not afraid to throw up an arsenal of weaponry at an officer. They're going to now start to police with a little bit more caution and a little bit reservation. And I understand, at least I think I understand where. So for you, and you talked about that domestic violence situation, it is so real. I don't even know how you respond to that. You can take cover and say, listen, this is da da da, and we're asking you to come out with your hands up. And then the backside of that story is going to be, my baby was in the room and they had guns pointed on him and they said, come out. I just felt, whoa. You can't have it both ways. You cannot have it both ways. So I understand our culture. I understand how difficult this can be. But people that are not in law enforcement, people don't have any idea what goes on when you walk through that door. Those guys went in, could it could have been routine, but they didn't walk out the same way they went in. They went in and they went in serving. They didn't go in as gangbusters. They didn't go in with weapons drawn because it would have been a different story. They went in with compassion, and it's hard to keep that when you have this fresh analysis that's out there, and you're looking at an 11-month-old baby that someone shot with no regard at all. And they wouldn't even have the decency to step up and say, you know what, yo, that was disrespectful on my part. Whatever I got to do, I'm here. Take me. There is
Absolutely.
a level of broken humanity. And go ahead. I'm getting to be a
No, no,
preacher
no.
right
You're
now.
right, because there isn't any code of ethics or any rules to the street anymore. I mean,
Yeah,
you have
that's it. That's
people
it.
that they'll salute a pedophile or something like that, and right
Hmm.
now we just, like I said, here here are two Latin brothers. I'm assuming that they going in there understanding people of color, and they're trying to engage, and they're probably coming in on a de-escalating mentality. You
Hmm.
understand what I'm saying? They're coming in, oh, miss, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
Okay, what's going on with your son or whomever? Oh, he's in the back. He's upset. He's volatile, or he's talking about violence. Okay, then start walking back, and he just comes out and opens up the door. Listen, this is not the movies, ladies and gentlemen, where you're
Hmm.
that fast, and that's why I say it hits home, because even myself, the arsenal that he had, the amount of weapons, bullets that he had, he could have got me. I don't know where this officer was struck. One officer was struck in the brain, in the head. The other officer was killed. They had their vest on. So what are you going to tell me? So now this is where
Hmm.
law enforcement is looking at it. Well, listen, you asked me to be nice. Look what nice got me. Now, even though this is an ambush, you can't equate the two, but officers are getting shot because people are losing respect, because now people think they can say what they want to say to anybody and the way they want to say it. Listen,
Hmm.
you wasn't talking to your parents like that. And if this new generation, and I hate to say this new generation, if you're talking to your parents any kind of way, well, thank God, I'm glad my child ain't doing that, because I knocked her on the floor, or he or she. You're not talking to me any kind of way. I'm not letting your child talk to me any kind of way.
Hmm.
And this is where the lack of respect is gone, because the
Hmm.
bottom line is the way people get so bent out of shape because the way things were, and wanted to change things and think things are right. And now, like I said, mental illness is a big component in a lot of things. But mental
Yes.
illness is not only into mental illness, because a lot of times is all of us was brought up with some kind of habit, and it could have been deemed or classified as some kind of mental illness. But what did we get? We got an ass whipping, and that just
Straighten it right out.
that fixed all the quirks in my ass. You know what I'm saying?
and,
That fixed
and
all the
and
quirks.
just for yeah, and just for clarity, listen, I am not suggesting that if you don't that you do not provide help for those with mental health. But you can't just be little Bobby, little Willie, and that's what he does. If there's no corrective measures that are being put in place and asking for and receiving help when offered, then the outcome could be kind of ugly. We do need, and one of the things that was happening, and I wasn't sure if I was going to get off in time, we're starting to look at the budget and what the executive budget looks like, and what's getting money, what's not getting money, and now we'll dance until March 31st to make some things happen. And you can throw money at a lot of places, but you can't legislate moral behavior. You can't legislate racism and hatred. So I'm not sure how we get there. Certainly, it starts with dialogue. It's certainly like what you have here on Real Talk, an opportunity to be informed, and even when you don't agree, not to become disagreeable. Because if we're going to model something that's crazy, when I say we as adults, then what do we expect the younger generation to do? Um, and I think you hit it again so many times tonight, Brother Bill. There is just a blatant disrespect that's happening. And I say there's a broken and a fallen humanity. And for me, it says there's an absence of your faith at work, if you have faith. And if
And
it
this
is, what does
and
it
this and this
what
is
does
what
it
the
look
show is
like?
about. This is a good. I'm glad you said that, and I'm glad you're here, because as a reverend, you can pick up the pace in that aspect for Pastor Kevin Graves, because it's about a spiritual walk and how do we get back to that. The one thing that it's sad, like you alluded to it earlier, how do we as people of today can walk around with a mask? We have just right now given any criminal and crook a freeway to to just hide itself and commit a crime. And right now, people don't even care. Right now, they're just doing all kind of crimes, pushing people, like I said, on trains, robbing, stealing, and the crimes are so violent. It's almost like it's like a soft purge. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah, yeah.
like I'll do what I want to do. Let me tell you something. I don't care who you are out there, ladies and gentlemen, martial artists, law enforcement, you still can get got. But the thing is, like, damn, do we have like, and the tensions are so high with racism and stuff. Like we're like everything is coming. It's like everything is coming. It's like the end game. Like not to refer to the the Avengers. It's like the end game. Like
Hmm.
like the world is Thanos got this shit on lock, and we got to fight. Because listen, we
Hmm.
got racism, we got people arguing over political parties, we got voter suppression, we got so many things. We got people blaming about reform. Al, people talking about
Yeah.
police change. People don't want to stop questioning first to come back. Let me tell you something. Stop questioning first was great if you didn't have to put it on a paper. Because the bottom line is people want to feel safe. When you got criminals calling police because they afraid to get hurt, you know the shit is serious out there. You know what I'm saying? I just want to read some comments and some questions. Shout out to everyone that's chiming in. Liz said exactly. Thanks for clarifying, Mr. Taylor. There's a lot of propaganda spread about bail reform. Okay, I read that. Shout out to Stephanie Waddell or Jules Holloway. My man Sean Jones, and we're not even talking about corrections. God, we got to get a corrections show one day, a panel on here, because what's happening with Rikers and corrections department is disgusting. I feel so sorry for my brothers, my bravest. You know what I'm saying? Or both. Who's the
Hmm.
both? Boldest is the FD, I think. The bravest is corrections. And let me tell you something. I feel sorry for them because they really have their hands tied. Sean says, no matter where you go in this world, right will always be right and wrong will always be wrong.
Yes.
The relative issue and the perception of the person deciding. With that said, common sense is no longer common, and we can no longer assume that the people in which
Yes.
communicate or commune with understand that the world on the same platform as you. In today's world, for some emotions travel faster than intellect and morality. Absolutely. Liz says, uh, totally agree with Assemblyman Al Taylor. The spike in crime is more about steadily increasing income equality and worsening affordable housing crisis, and an abundance of guns right in the middle of pandemic. Um,
Hmm.
I I'm not going to blame it on the pandemic. I do agree that because and I'll just tell people why I don't agree with the pandemic tag is because people are not robbing and stealing for money. We're not getting the I'm just sticking you up to get money
Hmm.
to feed my family. We're getting people stealing phones. We get people carjacking individuals. We get people pushing on trains and stuff like that. That has nothing to do with pandemic. Now we're going to blame about mental illness. Do I agree? Dr. Corder was supposed to be on tonight. I'm sure she got tied up because she would have been here. My cousin, she would have had the answer to me. But the
She may
same,
call in yet.
yeah, exactly. So, but I will say that um, mental illness is a problem. But listen, not every crime people have the right to just spew out mental illness, right?
Hmm.
Like that's the parachute that we're playing with right now. When these people go in these schools and shoot up the people, you don't hear about mental illness. You hear about, oh, he was a loner, he was depressed. I mean, people of color, mental illness now. That's why I wish the doctor was here, because I'm not saying mental illness is not a problem, but what we haven't heard about this individual that shot these two officers is that it was mental illness. We heard about his track record and him being a recidivist, a
Hmm.
criminal, but we didn't hear about anything of that magnitude. I'm not saying that the pandemic has not caused anything. Please, I think everything has cause and effect. Well, I think this world is crazy right now, right? But what I do feel is that we still have to get back to a structure and how we have to respect. It starts in the home. It starts from the
Hmm.
birth. Listen, I know parents out here getting high with their kids and going to the bar with their
Hmm.
kids.
Hmm.
I know some parents that just say, "Yo, my kid, I love him to death, but we don't drink together. We don't party together. We
Hmm.
may drink together in the house on a holiday, but we're not meeting each other at the bar and trying to bag girls together. We're not doing that. You know what I'm saying? Or
Hmm.
mother's not talking about, oh, my son's coming in here and be like, yo, have your boy buy me a drink. Let's knock it off, everybody. You know what I'm saying, Al? Listen, Al. Children. You're not at the same spot with your daughters and your son. You know what I'm saying?
No, and they know. They know, and I don't have to check them on it. They know. I think it's fair to say at this point that there are a lot of successful young black boys and girls, um, teenagers that are in our educational system, whether it's Howard and Spelman and all of these places, CUNY and SUNY. So many of our kids are young people are going to school. They are choosing to do something constructive with their life. They do want a different model than what they grew up in. And this officer was such an example. He did not want to see life as it was in his experience, but what can he do to change it? And I think that's the positive part of his life is the legacy that he's leaving at such an early age. At 22, I was exiting the military after being a military police officer for 3.5 years. So, I mean, I thought I was on top of the world at that point, but I had not started to expand my knowledge and wrestle with the things that other people say is right and I say is left. But you grow and you start. I'm not the same person I was at 22, but thank God I've been allowed to see this. So I think what I can take away from this is how do we honor his legacy? How do we protect babies in strollers or babies in their mother's arms as they're out in public? And that's what we want. Why is it that, and we're not going to solve world's problem tonight, but it's something to make you think about, is why is it that the top percent, small percent as it was, got richer, like 10 times richer or more during the pandemic? And those that are poor got poor and are
Yeah.
facing evictions and everything else in the world. And then we look around and say, well, listen, folks, real transparency. I'm in my 5th year as a legislator. I love the work that I do, trying to transform my community, but I'm not in love with a job that I would sell it out and or bow to you over some nonsense. Anybody. I didn't go up that way. And there are a lot of people, they just want to be called elected this and elected that. You better check out who you're voting for. And they can run off with a lot of rat-a-tat-tat things, but look at what they've done. Look at what they're talking about doing. And some of them, I won't say that because people are going to really challenge and push back at me. Not you all, but
No, but
I
you know
say
what's
that you
funny?
have to be qualified. Um, you know, like people move into districts just to run. Their parents are so wealthy, but they play the hobo broken down, and I can identify with you. You wasn't in my house when we was trying to put together the twos and fews. And I'm not knocking them, but consider this. Let's just go ahead and talk about it. DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America. I love everybody that want to do something, but the narrative basically is you've been around too long, you're too old, or you have too much money. I get it, I got it. But why is it that Bernie Sanders is the top dog? He's one of the richest and one of the oldest. I like Bernie, but they'll look at me and tell me I'm too old. I've been around too long, and I'm certainly not too rich, but his model is good. And they will put money into a neighborhood to make it look like theirs, and gentrification is on its way if it hasn't already started. Just
Absolutely.
shake the tree and see what falls out. and they'll look like us. I remember reading this thing. I'm going to really get in trouble here. And it was, I don't know if it was the autobiography of Frederick Douglass. And what would happen is the people that made it through up to the north and they were former slaves, they had people up in the north that would flip them for a couple of dollars just to send them back into slavery for the people that were coming up still looking for their slaves.
Mm.
But sometimes these people that would do that would disappear, never to be seen again. I'm just
Mm.
saying, we have to protect ourselves. And I'm not asking, I'm not advocating violence. Certainly the Reverend is not. But I'm just saying we have to think about who's in our community, what are they doing for our community, and what have they done. And if you haven't done anything, just sit down and wait your turn and learn something. But you can't just roll up and say, I'm good because I can tell you what I don't like. But what are you going to replace that with? What are you doing with it? And you can work off emotions, which leads me to this. I think this is a time for prayer. This is a time for putting our faith to work. This is a time for maybe substituting a meal for a prayer time or something like that, just to be at peace with yourself and this community and watch what God will give you to instruct you to do. Because I had to pull way back because I was angry. I was like, I was like, lock them up, lock them up. I was texting some
Good,
people. I was
good.
like, yo, I was like, bring them back. Let's modify, bring it back, but
Right, right.
let's modify. And I know that's not sexy and people don't want to hear that. And I grew up, there was an editorial op-ed in the Amsterdam News that I got placed there. And it had to talk about, if you read it, it came out this past Friday. But it was my experience at 16 and being stopped for carrying a concealed weapon. And I met a judge by the name of Turn 'em Loose Bruce, Judge Bruce Wright. And he allowed me, it's really interesting, um, Brother Bill. And he gave me an opportunity. He didn't just give me one. I did the things that were requested of me, required of me to not spend time in jail. I had a job. And the point I want to make is that he saw something in me I didn't see in myself until years later. But he allowed me not to go to jail. And I'm going through my papers, but somewhere I have that document that came from court that allowed me to have that thing sealed and get into the military without a high school diploma. I'm just going to do it like this because I don't want people read all the information in
No, they don't need. They
it.
don't even don't know your
Yeah,
zodiac sign
but
and
yeah. What's your sign? No, but it says sealed. Um, and this was a deposition on August 12th, 1974. So that would have made me 16. And 2 years later, 3 years later, at 19, I went in the military at 18. So I graduated on this day, 1976, from boot camp, going to military police school. But I wouldn't have had that opportunity if it wasn't for him. So I think there are some redeemable qualities that our young people possess, but we got to catch them early. And one of the things I'll repeat, and I'm not going to give him any credit, at least I don't have to pay him for it, but it comes from the Mayor Adams. And he said, we've got to go upstream and stop our young people from getting thrown in. So let's unpack this and say, so what are you doing? And it's great that you're here in this space with us. Are you part of a mentoring program? Are you doing something with another kid in your neighborhood? Are you part of the church, something or another? Are you part of the, we don't like this no more, what you gonna do? What are you doing? And every time someone says, well, what are you gonna do? I'm like, I'm willing to do anything you can help me do because I'm only one skinny person with 4 staff people, but I will work on anything you're willing to join me on. And that's when people put their hand in their pocket and they kind of back up, Bill. I'm like, we can't do this by ourselves. Brother Bill can't do it. I can't do it. But collectively, we can do this. And it
well, you know what's
starts
so
with
funny.
one person at a time.
Well, you know what's so funny, like you said, that is like a lot of people like to yell from the windows, "Yo,
Ah!
what you should do." But when it's like, "Yo, come downstairs," well, nah, I got something to do tomorrow. I got Glee Club and shit like that, or something like that. So, I mean, you're right. A lot of people. Shout out to everybody. This is Real Talk Chronicles. I haven't listen, as you can tell, I've been really caught up in an emotional point This is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Pastor Kevin Graves. He's not with us tonight, but we have Assemblyman Al Taylor that's in here, and he has
Pastor
his
Al Taylor.
Pastor Al. And shout out to everybody
Yeah.
chiming in: Cora, Denny Moe, Steve Meekins, my man Don, Miss Green, Sophania, Miss Diana, Alina Morales, Joshua, Sharon. Just shout out to everybody. Norman said, he said, Bill, I'm saddened by the way my brothers of color are being treated, first by white officers, then by our own people of color. You know, Norm, shout out to Robert Rice in the building, clergyman Robert Rice, Cora. You know, let me just say this, Norm. You and I grew up in a time, you're my college dude, we played ball together. We were taught a way to be. Now, the problem occurred if we engaged with officers not our color and they treated it a different way. But we still spoke well enough where the officer didn't want to arrest us because we knew mouthing off could put us in a certain situation. My feeling is that is lost. The respect of the home. Capital punishment. Like, listen, people have tried so many years. Oh, get away from the reprimanding your child. Time out. Put their little ass in the corner. Do this, do that. Listen, sometimes certain kids need. Listen, I am who I am, but I am a lot of things because my parents reprimanded me the way they did.
Mm-hmm.
Could it have been extensive? Absolutely. To today's society, my parents would be thrown in jail. But the bottom line is, I'm not mad at them. I'm really not. And yo, Al, I say this with all sincerity. I'm not mad at them. My black ass needed. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man.
Let me sit still, and I didn't sit still. You talking back? Wop, wop, wop. Oh, I'm not talking back anymore. You understand what I'm trying to say? My father and I came to a revelation when I was 16 years old, where he gave me an opportunity either to fall back or meet my maker. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
I didn't want to meet him. And up to those years, I understood that he was Charles in charge. And then at that time, I felt like I wanted to push that button. But I pushed the button because I was protecting my mother. But the bottom line is, he was like, oh. He said, you watching Shaft and Jim Brown and all these cats. He says, you're not them. You know what I'm saying? You're not them. He says, if you ever get in my way again, I'll kill you. Right?
Wow.
I got it. And my mother was like, oh my God, you protected me, but you should have ran. I'm like, I should have ran. You should have told me that shit before.
Now you tell me?
Now
Hey,
you tell me. But what I'm trying to say is, the moral of my story, I'm sorry, I'm going to let you talk. The moral of my story was, it was a respect and a fear factor. And then that's what's missing. Children out here today, and I'm not telling anybody that you have to hit your child. If you think talking to your child or taking his Nintendo, I don't even know what the games out here today, his PlayStation 19, or taking his cell phone or her cell phone away is good enough punishment, fine. You can't talk on the internet. I hear people talk about, I tell my child, I'll take away the Wi-Fi. And kids will be like, oh my God, the Wi-Fi. Are you kidding me? You want to take my Wi-Fi? That's all right. I'm an only child. I'll talk to myself. You know what I'm saying? I don't even want to ask with it. You know what I'm saying? But so, I mean, Al, this is what I really feel. You know, Robert Rice is in the building. I know he's out here doing his clergy.
Shout out Chaplain Rice.
Yes, he's definitely out here. Colin said, best judge ever. Turn him loose, Bruce. Exactly.
Turn him loose, Bruce.
Evelyn and Urena, we work together in the Bronx. Appreciate you, sis. Mark said, unfortunately, Bill, I think you're right. This is like a soft purge. New York, Harlem can't go out like that. No city in America should go out like that, period. What will it take for this country to understand that we cannot go out like this? In my honest opinion, this is like waking up in a sleeping giant. Listen, Mark, let me just tell you this. When you have law enforcement on their heels and you have the community scared to go out, but right now, trying to have a function in your own house, I mean, via the pandemic, because you're scared because people got to walk on eggshells trying to get to your house to leave from your house. Who the like?
Hmm.
If you want to have something right now, a person doesn't want to die in fear of getting to you. Right now, everything is about cabs and cars. Who wants to take the
Hmm.
train? The city could talk about. Um, let's get back to this. Public transportation. Public transportation. I'm not taking no public transportation, not at all. And listen, like I said to you, everybody else earlier, I've tagged the mayor, I tagged Alvin Bragg's family in this, I've tagged Benjamin in this, the lieutenant governor, I've tagged Mark Levine, all these people that I know personally, I've tagged them in this. So they're all welcome to come back. Alvin Bragg, who's a friend of ours, Al,
Hmm.
he's talked about certain things that he wants to do with his administration and under his regime that sounded a little very soft on crime. So
Hmm.
when I heard the letter that he put out, I texted him and I said, listen, can you come on when you get chance? I know you new in office, but when you come on, can you come on when you get chance and explain yourself? Because the bottom line is a lot of people, I've spoken to law enforcement myself. They're like, what is he doing? And then I get the abuse, Al. Oh, that's your boy. You know what I'm saying? That's your boy. What's he doing?
Hey, listen, I would say this, and I went so far as to submit a letter, a op-ed, which was printed in Amsterdam, and that's why I pulled out this document to say I was one of those kids that had something, and so I'm not saying, and I didn't understand him to turn the whole world loose. Um, but I'm reminded for the people that remember Turn 'em Loose Bruce, the officers and the union folks said the same thing about him. They said the same thing about him. And you know what eventually happened? Black folks started to walk away from him. But all he was saying was, let's look at what's in front of us and make a decision based on the individual. Now, if he'd have treated me as the statute allowed, I would have been smoked. And
Absolutely.
honestly, I'm telling y'all folks, I'm not that bad of a guy. But at 16, I wasn't smart. So before we jump and hitch our wagon to what they're saying, I say we should hear from the person that is going to be tough on crime. And I find him to be a friend. And so I wrote my story and listening to what I read about his plan. And it wasn't brand new. It was in his lit and his conversation all during his campaign. But the minute this multi-millionaire person didn't win because they couldn't win, they couldn't buy it. And the outgoing district attorney, Cy Vance, these are very rich
Absolutely.
people,
Absolutely.
extremely rich. And now the
Yes.
one that wanted to win, she had so much money. I mean, she could probably fill up an armored truck with it. And I'm not knocking that, but what I'm
No,
saying
no,
is our
because
lives,
we represent our man. Listen,
yeah,
I represent. I've sat on days with him. We are church brothers.
yeah,
But like I said, the bottom line is we live in a world right now that there needs some. It needs discipline, and it seems
yes.
like certain laws. And that's why I asked him, and maybe you can get him to come back when he gets a chance to come back.
Listen, he's a friend, and I tell y'all listening, watch out for the next Real Talk with Brother Bill Foster and Reverend Al Taylor. We got
Listen,
a guest coming for
we
you.
got 7 minutes before we get out of here. I just want to read some
Six
comments and
minutes.
statements out here. Shout out to everybody that's chiming in. I appreciate you all. Al and I appreciate the love that you're giving us. If you like it, share it to your Facebook pages, subscribe to it on YouTube. Norm said, I think I read that. Cora, I see you in the building. Norm said, I pray for our peace. I'm ready for war. Oh, Norm said, I pray for peace, but I'm ready for war. Norm, I know you are, you rascal. Um, Cora, let's see. Brian's in the building. Irma Jet's in the building. Colin said, Each one teach one. Every good politician should be
Majette.
asked to put someone up alongside them to take over as they move up. Exactly. We're not doing that, Colin, and not doing it is failure to our community. Absolutely. Irma Jess said, "Oh yeah, I got beatings, iron cord, corn braided." Exactly. Shout out to Denise. Norm said, "There's no family structure. There's no strong role model in the home." Absolutely. Shout out to Jason Braswell. Irma Jess said, "God bless our parents. They made us go up in a certain direction until we knew enough to travel the right way ourselves." Absolutely. Love you,
Yes.
Robert Rice. What's up, Miss Taylor? I see you sharing in the building. Norm says, "So, Mr. Taylor, what do you suggest? I'm tired of talking. Who are our black leaders?" Um,
Well, it starts with you, sir. We don't have to be elected to be a leader. And I think when we relegate that to someone else that hasn't shown themselves to be a leader yet, then we end up with things. But I think every voice that's in this space is a black leader.
right. Taylor said a lot of mothers need to get their households in order. A lot of these criminals live under their mother's roof. They don't have the mindset to assist in paying the bills. They're disrespectful to their mothers, yet they can't navigate paying their own way in life. Taylor, you and I talked about that over the weekend. Exactly. Certain situations. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to my man Kenny Harris out of PA, baby, Delaware. Elizabeth Taylor said, "I agree with you, Earl. Yeah, I know about getting my butt beat. I think we all are." Listen, that's the one thing that we all understand. If you're of a certain age, everybody done got that hand. You know what I'm saying? On that butt or listen, and you know what that parent used to do? You'd be like, "Oh, I don't want that. The growl. I don't want the Doberman
Mm.
pincer. You know what I'm saying? I don't want that problem. The German Shepherd. You know."
Raise your hand if you've been beat by a switch. You got whipped with a switch. You had to go get your own switch. Anybody know about that?
What kind of psychological Sigmund Freud shit was that? Go get the switch. You tormented yourself knowing what kind of switch, and you knew you couldn't come back with a small switch. You had to come back, like
Yeah,
I said. I got beat with a hot track
yeah.
and shit. What's up, Mustafa? It takes a man to raise a boy to be a man. Absolutely. Jason said, "Leaders start in the home. We need more fathers to teach their sons how to be a man."
Yes,
Pastor
yes,
Kevin Graves
yes.
says, he said, "We must be the change that we want to see." Absolutely. Everybody, listen. What do? We got to come together. Listen, please be careful out there. Until
Yes.
the mayor's plan, whether you agree with it or disagree with it, is implemented into service, we have to stay vigilant. We have to stay safe. We have to be careful because right now there's a lot of larceny going out here. And let me tell you, I don't care
Mm.
who you think you are, you can get got in today's society. Let me tell you something. I get footage all the time of individuals, people walking up on somebody, shooting them with a gun. You'd be like, where was this at? Like, or New York City, people fighting cops just to be fighting. Like that, that hurts my heart to see officers getting disrespected. Because like right now, where's the badge of honor saying I was law enforcement once upon a time? Certain people still be like, "Oh, thank you for your service," and I appreciate
Uh-huh.
that. But right now, if I told somebody I was law enforcement, they might try to slap me faster than they slap you. You understand? I mean, you're a civilian. Just to say I slapped a former law enforcement, that would be a bad situation for them. I promise you that. Because let me tell you something. I'm not trying to make the news. I'm really not. I want to make the news for some good shit.
Hmm.
I would love to hear Real Talk Chronicles skyrockets, right? I don't want to hear Bill Foster all of a sudden lost his damn mind because somebody slapped him and he just took a muck. Norm said,
I, they ain't gonna do that.
Norm said, "I'm in a different state but have the same world problems. I'm one of the clan cap. I'm in one of the clan capitals." Yeah, Norm. But let me just say something, Norm. You moved here for a better life, and now you got to deal with those kind of consequences and repercussions. And it was just so funny. I was looking at the Emmett Till story today, and how crazy is it that in Mississippi that was in 1955. For those out there that are listening, that was born, that was 10 years before I was born, right? And that's
Mhm.
Mississippi. So let's cut this shit with a lot of things. We have to still do better who we are, and we understand there's a power that's way beyond us that we need to galvanize together. Elizabeth said, when your mom is talking and no one could decipher what she was saying, but you yeah, you can never see the beating right away, but yet you knew it was coming. And the crazy thing
It
about
was
that, Liz, is
coming.
shout out to Liz Hunter College in the building. Yo, thing about that is you knew you was gonna get that beating no matter how long it took you to get home. Because the first thing she said, yo, I heard the you were like, oh, like you didn't want that. Taylor said,
Get
I don't
on,
believe they need to
get
do
over
away
there.
with bail reform. What they need to do is that look at everything on the case by case basis. An individual that has multiple arrests for the same mess needs to sit in jail um, until trial. And ass whipping made a lot of us better people. What's going on now
Mhm.
is due to people sparing the rod and spoiling the child. What do you think about that, Al?
Mhm. Well, I mean, we want answers, we want solutions, we want to see transformation now, and it ain't gonna happen now. It didn't happen overnight. Um, I honestly believe I had a scripture that I wanted to share on the way out, but I believe
I want you to
what
share that scripture because I want you to close us out with a prayer. We need Al.
uh,
We definitely, but give me a few chances. I'll
uh,
let you answer the question.
mhm.
But if you're going to read that scripture, I want you to close us out with that scripture. So I just want
Okay,
to. Okay, hold on. Earl
okay.
Majed said, "Discipline starts at the home. The issue begins because too many fathers don't have boots on the ground in the house. The system making people a single mother profile profitable while working things out when she can um just get child support and find someone else to pay the cable bill. But as soon as the son is old enough, mama can't control him, and the living dude is powerless and don't care enough to intervene. That's a whole lot.
Yeah.
That's a whole other topic. E, I totally agree with you though. Mark said, "I got beef for eating the last slice of coconut cake." Oh my God, you ate the last slice of coconut cake? And she says, I mean, my mother really beat my ass for that too." Kevin Graves said, "Today everyone is in danger. There's a blatant disregard for human life and lawlessness in the land." Earl Majette said, "The mumble threat." Exactly. Liz said, "You already know." Taylor said, "There's a blatant disregard for morals and values. The village used to raise kids the way people are now. And if you correct someone's kid, they want to fight you. We definitely need prayer." Absolutely. Good to hear your voice. Talk to you. Al, I
Yeah.
totally agree with you.
Hey.
I want you to close us out. Everybody, thank you. This it hurts my heart to see a young man. It hurts my heart to see anybody lose their life, but especially, and like I said, for all those that know, I've come on this show, my podcast, and I've talked about how we can help bridge the gap between law enforcement and civilians. But nowhere have you ever heard me say that I think an officer should lose his life, and especially not a young officer that has put his life, like me, was me. When I see that young 22-year-old man, he came and from the hood. I'm still everybody that
Mhm.
knows I'm still 141 in Riverside, baby. You know how to find me. I ain't scared of that. Just because I have places along the New Jersey Turnpike and beyond that in the DMV doesn't mean I'm still not New York. I'm afforded to live abroad. Thank you, Amir Sealy. I see you in the building. But with that being said, it is crazy. It is crazy to think that being trying to do something for your community and your community is the one that took you out, right?
Yeah.
That's the sad thing. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. If you like what we're talking about, please share it and subscribe to it. We will be picking this up again on Wednesday with Kevin and Chuck. I say all that. I also say that the funeral for this young man um, is the wake is Thursday at St. Patrick's Cathedral from I think 3 to 8. The funeral is Friday uh, at 9 o'clock at St. Patrick's Cathedral. Trust me, if you don't have a reason to be in that neighborhood, if you're not going to that funeral, stay out of it, because that will be a log jam of traffic. NYPD is taking over that city and paying their respects to this young man. Please have your prayers for the other officer, Mora. There's rumors. I don't want to just talk about the rumors. The fact that until we hear anything else, let's keep him in our prayers. We will say prayers for that. Prayers to all the law enforcement that have been shot in this year. 15 in the United States already. 15 law enforcement. That's unheard of. You may not have heard of that in years. We talking about in 1 month, 1 month, 15 already. Say your prayers. Listen, be vigilant, pray, do whatever it is to get you a higher power. Pastor, not Pastor,
Hey,
Reverend
thank
Al Taylor, give us
hey,
some words of
both of
affirmation
them
and then
were.
take us, yeah, both of us, and take us out here with some positive love, please.
Listen, thank you so much. I I I listened to. It's going to be Second Chronicles, the 7th chapter, the 14th verse,
Mhm.
and it says, "If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land." Father, we certainly are desirous of healing of our land and those that are within it. Lord, there is so much anger, so much frustration, so much violence, so much mistrust. We call on you tonight, Lord, one, to be with Officer Mora, I believe that's his name. Be with the family of the officer that was slain here in New York as they prepare the homegoing services, Lord, that you would comfort his friends in a community that is so rich and so diverse. And they saw him come through the ranks of living in a community and moving to become a model citizen of this country in this great city. Lord, I pray that you would strengthen my brothers and sisters that are on this line as we look for answers. Lord, that you would remind us that you are the answer. You remind us that earth has no sorrows that heaven cannot heal. Lord, I pray that we would all seek justice and do mercy in our communities and our neighbors, that we would be that extra something that somebody needs that clearly are out of control. And just remember that we too once were out of control, and help us to give back in all of those situations and circumstances. Lord, we pray for this city, this state, and for each and everyone that's here. We thank you for this format and a place to be, to have this conversation. But Lord, I also ask that you will remember the 11-year-old girl, 11-month-old girl in the Bronx with a bullet wound to the face, and so many more that have lost their lives. We ask you would bless their families, that you would strengthen, that you would encourage senseless lives that are being lost in this city and across the nation because of an absence of you. And we ask today, Lord, that you would use us for your glory. And we thank you for this. And we ask it in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. That's well deserved and well needed for all of us. Like I said
So
earlier,
much,
I spoke
brother.
to the father of that young girl that Reverend, now I say Reverend Al just spoke about, and please keep them in prayers. He was upbeat to the best of his ability, and I definitely just told him I pray with you, and my family supports you, and please, if anybody has any information on that situation, please call Crime Stoppers, call somebody, so that man can get some kind of comfort in knowing that the perpetrator is behind bars. Taylor said the young officer saw a problematic policy in his neighborhood, and he took an oath to make a change. To have his life cut short is a travesty. May God bless his soul and comfort his family and colleagues. Shout out. I see you, Cora Mayo. Kevin Graves says Corporal Charles Galloway, a precinct 5 in Harris County, Houston, Texas, was killed on Sunday. Yes, prayers. Amen. Tracy said amen. Sharon said amen. Amen. Elizabeth say, amen, Reverend. Thank you. Amen. Ron Kingston say, amen. Everybody, thank you. Amen. Look for us Wednesday. Pastor Al, you got something you want to say before we go, brother? It's all love. It's your show.
Nah, Chaplain Rice. That brother is in the trenches, y'all. He's the one that's in that emergency room when a young person is shot and families are all up in arms, and he's the only thing between them and somebody willing to go take justice right then. So much prayer and respect for you, Chaplain. And I appreciate you.
Yeah, my little brother. Yeah. Shout out to you. Appreciate you all doing. Yeah. Everybody, like it, share it. Tell
Real
people
talk.
about Real Talk Chronicles. This is what we do. Al Taylor, I love you, brother. I'll talk to you.
Love you too. Hey,
Malika, you want to say goodbye to everybody?
where's Malika? Hey, look, I'm looking like, where's Malika?
She's here. Everybody.
What up? You know, y'all, I didn't get my calendar. I'm just saying. Somebody
Did you order?
dropped the ball.
Did you order?
No, you got to get at Wendy and tell her what's happening.
All right.
See what I'm saying?
Wendy, if you're listening, we're going to order the calendars. These are the calendars. Malika, get the mugs real quick. Now we come out with this little small thing, the public service announcements. These are calendars. If you have people that's having birthdays, you want them to celebrate. They have all different. Malika and her mother own an art gallery. So if you want to order a calendar, they have different designs for your month. They're beautiful. That's my beautiful wife. She's doing her thing. She has mugs of different sizes. We have mugs. We have everything, all different designs. If you want to support, this is what it's all about. Shout out to Nathan Ingram. His magazine, he has the #1 martial arts magazine in New York City, around the world, on Amazon. Please support it. If you want to also understand that your boy, Mr. Real Talk himself, is a martial artist, and I'm in this magazine. So if you want to read about me without me telling you, usually some people can tell you a story, but you can read about me, myself, and my story in law enforcement. It's a magazine. It's on Amazon. I appreciate you all. Thank you. Love you. See you Wednesday. We will continue this conversation. Have a good night. Peace.